The year is 2024. The world seems to be humming along. The aftermath of the pandemic is fading. People are returning to some sense of normalcy. Yet beneath the surface, economic indicators paint a different picture. Inflation is stubbornly high. Interest rates are beginning to rise. Global supply chains, still recovering from the pandemic, are struggling to keep up. The warning signs are there like subtle tremors before an earthquake. But most people are oblivious, caught up in their daily routines. They are about to get a harsh lesson in economics. The world is on the brink of a recession. The first tremors of the recession are felt in the financial markets. The stock market, which had been showing signs of volatility, experiences a sudden and dramatic drop. The Dow Jones Industrial Average plunges over 1,000 points in a single day. Panic selling ensues. Investors, both large and small, rush to sell their stocks. Fear and uncertainty grip the markets. The news of the stock market crash spreads like wildfire. People are glued to their televisions and smartphones, watching in disbelief as their savings evaporate. The talking heads on the news channels try to explain what is happening, but their words are drowned out by the growing sense of dread. The reality of the situation is sinking in. This is not just a blip, it is a full-blown financial crisis. The impact of the financial market crash is felt immediately throughout the economy. Businesses, large and small, see their credit lines dry up. They are forced to delay investments, cancel projects, and lay off workers. The unemployment rate, which had been steadily declining, begins to tick upward. Consumer confidence plummets as people tighten their belts and brace for the worst. As businesses struggle to cope with the economic downturn, many are forced to close their doors. Iconic brands that had once seemed invincible are suddenly on the brink of bankruptcy. Shopping malls, once bustling with activity, are now dotted with empty storefronts. The economic landscape is changing rapidly, and the future seems uncertain. The initial shock of the recession is giving way to a sobering realization. This is going to be a long and difficult road to recovery. The global economy, already weakened by the pandemic and geopolitical tensions, buckles under the weight of the financial crisis. Countries around the world are interconnected. The collapse of one economy sends shockwaves across the globe. International trade grinds to a halt. Currencies fluctuate wildly. The world is facing a synchronized recession. The human toll of the recession is becoming increasingly apparent. Millions of people lose their jobs. Families struggle to put food on the table and keep a roof over their heads. Lines at food banks and homeless shelters grow longer with each passing day. The social safety net is strained to its breaking point. Governments around the world scramble to respond to the crisis. They announce massive stimulus packages, cut interest rates, and provide bailouts to struggling businesses. But their efforts seem like band-aids on a gaping wound. The recession is deeper and more widespread than anyone anticipated. Amidst the economic turmoil, a sense of fear and uncertainty pervades society. People are worried about their jobs, their savings, and their futures. Social unrest is on the rise. The fabric of society seems to be fraying at the edges. The world is a much different place than it was just a few short months ago. The recession has exposed the fragility of the global economy and the deep inequalities that exist within societies. The once booming job market, full of promise and opportunity, now resembled a desolate wasteland. Companies, both large and small, were forced to make difficult decisions. Layoffs, once a last resort, became a daily occurrence. The dreaded pink slips arrived, carrying with them the weight of financial insecurity and shattered dreams. John, a hard-working engineer who had always been financially responsible, found himself staring at one of those pink slips. His heart sank as he read the words that would change his life forever. He'd always been the provider, the rock of his family. Now, facing unemployment for the first time in his life, he felt a wave of shame wash over him. John was not alone in his struggle. Across the country, millions shared similar stories of job losses and financial uncertainty. The unemployment rate, once a distant statistic, became a harsh reality for many. Lines at unemployment offices grew longer with each passing day. The faces in those lines reflected a mix of emotions, confusion, fear, and a desperate hope for a light at the end of the tunnel. The impact of job losses rippled through communities, leaving scars that would take years to heal. Local businesses, once vibrant hubs of activity, struggled to stay afloat as consumer spending plummeted. The ripple effect of each lost job touched countless others, creating a domino effect of economic hardship. The very fabric of society seemed to be unraveling thread by thread. The bustling streets of America's cities, once teeming with life and commerce, now bore the scars of the recession. Empty storefronts with their darkened windows and for lease signs served as stark reminders of the economic devastation. The vibrant tapestry of small businesses, the backbone of the American economy, was being torn apart. Sarah, a single mother who had poured her heart and soul into her small bakery, was forced to make the agonizing decision to close her doors. The bakery, more than just a business, was a reflection of her passion, a place where she had built a community. Now, staring at the empty shelves and silent ovens, she felt a profound sense of loss. The closure of small businesses like Sarah's had a devastating impact on communities across the nation. These businesses were not just sources of goods and services, they were gathering places, providers of local jobs, and symbols of entrepreneurial spirit. Their disappearance left a void, both economic and social, that would be difficult to fill. As the recession deepened, food banks, once a lifeline for the most vulnerable, were overwhelmed by the sheer number of people seeking assistance. Families who had never imagined needing help found themselves standing in line, their faces etched with a mixture of pride and despair. The recession was no respecter of persons. It touched the lives of everyone, rich and poor alike. The housing market, once a symbol of American prosperity, teetered on the brink of collapse. The dream of home ownership, deeply ingrained in the American psyche, became a distant aspiration for many. As job losses mounted and the economy spiraled downward, the housing market mirrored the turmoil. The Jones family, who had purchased their dream home just a year earlier, found themselves facing the crushing reality of foreclosure. With John's job loss, they could no longer keep up with their mortgage payments. The home, once a sanctuary filled with laughter and love, now felt like a prison of debt and despair. Across the country, stories like the Jones families played out with alarming frequency. Foreclosures skyrocketed, leaving behind a trail of shattered dreams and abandoned properties. Neighborhoods, once vibrant and full of life, were transformed into ghost towns, haunted by the specter of economic hardship. The collapse of the housing market had far-reaching consequences. Property values plummeted, wiping out the savings of countless families. Banks, saddled with bad mortgages, faced a liquidity crisis. The financial system, already weakened by the stock market crash, was pushed to the brink. The American dream, once a beacon of hope, seemed to be slipping away. The weight of the nation's economic woes fell heavily upon the shoulders of the government. Faced with a crisis of unprecedented proportions, policymakers struggled to find a way to stem the bleeding. The government's response, a delicate balancing act between providing relief and avoiding further damage, was met with a mix of hope and skepticism. Emergency stimulus packages were rushed through Congress, aimed at injecting much-needed liquidity into the economy. Tax cuts were implemented, hoping to stimulate spending and boost consumer confidence. The Federal Reserve, in an unprecedented move, slashed interest rates to near zero, making it cheaper for businesses to borrow and invest. Despite these efforts, the economy continued its downward spiral. The government's response, while necessary, seemed like a drop in the bucket compared to the scale of the crisis. Critics argued that the measures were too little, too late, while others feared that the massive government spending would lead to runaway inflation and a further erosion of the nation's financial stability. The government's balancing act was further complicated by the need to provide a safety net for those most affected by the recession. Unemployment benefits were extended, providing a lifeline for those who had lost their jobs. Food stamp programs were expanded to meet the growing demand. The government, often seen as a distant entity, was now on the front lines of the crisis, tasked with alleviating the suffering of its citizens. Even in the darkest of times, the human spirit has an uncanny ability to find glimmers of hope. Amidst the economic turmoil and social upheaval, stories of resilience, innovation and compassion began to emerge, offering a beacon of light in a world shrouded in uncertainty. Communities once defined by consumerism and individualism rediscovered the importance of connection and support. Neighbours helped neighbours, sharing what little they had. Community gardens sprang up in vacant lots, providing fresh produce and a sense of purpose. People found solace in shared experiences, drawing strength from the knowledge that they were not alone in their struggles. The recession, for all its devastation, also served as a catalyst for innovation and creativity. Entrepreneurs, faced with adversity, adapted their business models, finding new ways to serve their customers. The gig economy flourished as people sought alternative ways to make ends meet. Necessity, the mother of invention, spurred a wave of resourcefulness and ingenuity. The recession of 2024, while a time of great hardship, also revealed the resilience of the human spirit. It highlighted the importance of community, the power of innovation, and the enduring belief that even in the face of adversity, there is always hope. The road to recovery would be long and arduous, but the seeds of a brighter future were being sown. The recession of 2024 was more than just economic statistics. It was a human drama, filled with stories of loss, struggle, and remarkable resilience. Behind the headlines of stock market crashes and unemployment figures were real people, grappling with the challenges of a world turned upside down. Take Maria, for instance. A single mother of two, she lost her job as a waitress when the local diner shut down. The diner, a neighborhood fixture for decades, couldn't withstand the drop in customers as people tightened their belts. Facing eviction and dwindling savings, Maria refused to give up. She swallowed her pride and reached out to her local community center. There, she found a lifeline, a program that helped retrain displaced workers like her. She enrolled in a course to become a certified nursing assistant, a growing field despite the recession. It wasn't easy juggling classes and caring for her children. But Maria's determination fueled her. She knew she had to be strong, for herself and her children. Hers was a story repeated countless times across the country. Ordinary people facing extraordinary circumstances with courage and a steely resolve. The recession, in a way, stripped away the veneer of comfort and exposed the raw human spirit beneath. It revealed the resilience of individuals like Maria, who faced adversity head-on, refusing to be defined by their circumstances. They were the faces of a nation tested but not broken, their stories a testament to the indomitable human spirit. As the recession tightened its grip, a heartwarming phenomenon emerged, a surge of compassion and empathy. Strangers reached out to help strangers, bridging the divides of social class, race and ideology. Communities, once fragmented, began to knit themselves back together, bound by a shared sense of purpose and a recognition of their shared humanity. In small towns and big cities alike, food banks saw a surge in both those needing help and those willing to give it. Volunteers from all walks of life worked tirelessly to sort donations, pack boxes, and distribute food to families struggling to put meals on the table. The lines at food banks were long, but they were also testaments to the inherent goodness that resides in the human heart. Acts of kindness, big and small, became commonplace. Neighbours helped elderly residents with groceries and errands. Students tutored younger children whose families could no longer afford extra help. People shared whatever they could spare: clothes, tools, even a listening ear and a shoulder to cry on. In a time of immense hardship, these acts of kindness, like small candles flickering in the darkness, provided warmth, hope, and a sense of connection. The recession, in a strange way, reminded people of their shared humanity. It stripped away the superficial and revealed the core values of compassion, empathy, and solidarity. In a world often driven by self-interest, the outpouring of kindness and generosity was a powerful testament to the enduring human capacity for love and support. The recession of 2024 forced people to re-evaluate their priorities. Material possessions and the pursuit of status lost their luster in the face of widespread economic hardship. Communities, once defined by consumerism and individualism, began to rediscover the importance of shared experiences, mutual support, and collective action. Community gardens blossomed in vacant lots, transforming urban landscapes into patchwork quilts of green. Neighbours, once strangers, came together to plant, tend and harvest fresh produce, sharing the fruits of their labour and forging bonds of friendship and solidarity. The gardens were more than just sources of food. They were symbols of hope, resilience, and the power of collective action. Across the country, people found solace and connection in shared activities. Libraries became community hubs offering free classes, workshops, and access to technology. Parks hosted free concerts and movie nights, providing affordable entertainment and a sense of normalcy. Potluck dinners, once a relic of a bygone era, made a comeback as families gathered to share food, stories, and laughter. The recession, in its own way, fostered a renaissance of community spirit. It reminded people that they were not alone in their struggles and that true strength lay in unity and collective action. As people came together to support one another, they began to weave a new social fabric, stronger and more resilient than before. Even in the darkest of times, there were glimmers of hope, like wildflowers pushing through cracks in the pavement. Amidst the economic turmoil and social upheaval, seeds of innovation, adaptation, and renewal were being sown, hinting at a brighter future on the horizon. Entrepreneurs, faced with adversity, responded with ingenuity and resourcefulness. They pivoted their businesses, adapting to the changing needs of consumers. Online marketplaces flourished, connecting local artisans and craftspeople with customers seeking unique and locally made goods. The gig economy, once a niche market, exploded, offering flexible work opportunities for those displaced from traditional jobs. The education sector, too, underwent a rapid transformation. Forced to adapt to remote learning during the pandemic, schools and universities discovered the potential of online education. Virtual classrooms, once a novelty, became the norm, expanding access to education for students in remote areas and those balancing work and family obligations. The recession, while undeniably difficult, also served as a catalyst for positive change. It forced individuals, businesses and institutions to adapt, innovate and reimagine the way they lived, worked and interacted with each other. As the initial shock of the recession began to subside, these seeds of hope, nurtured by resilience and a spirit of collaboration, hinted at the possibility of a more equitable, sustainable and vibrant future. The year 2024 had begun with a sense of cautious optimism. The shadow of the pandemic was receding, and the world seemed poised for recovery. Yet, as the months unfolded, a different reality set in, a stark economic downturn that would test the nation's mettle. The stock market, once a symbol of prosperity, now resembled a roller coaster on a downward spiral. Businesses, large and small, were shutting their doors, unable to withstand the economic headwinds. Unemployment, once a distant statistic, became a harsh reality for millions. The nation, accustomed to economic stability, found itself facing a crisis of confidence. The government, often criticised for its slow response to crises, faced mounting pressure to act decisively. The calls for action came from all corners of society, economists warning of a prolonged recession, business leaders pleading for relief, and ordinary citizens struggling to make ends meet. Congress, usually a battleground of partisan politics, felt the urgency of the moment. The gravity of the situation transcended political divides, uniting lawmakers from both sides of the aisle in a common purpose to rescue the nation from the brink of economic disaster. The air was thick with tension and a sense of shared responsibility as lawmakers worked tirelessly to craft a response, a lifeline for a nation in distress. The eyes of the world were on the United States, the once unshakable pillar of the global economy, now grappling with its own vulnerabilities. The nation's response, its ability to navigate this crisis, would have far-reaching consequences, shaping not just its own destiny, but the fate of the global economy. The stakes had never been higher. After weeks of intense debate and negotiation, Congress finally passed a massive stimulus package. The legislation, a behemoth of economic measures, aimed to inject trillions of dollars into the ailing economy. It was a gamble, a desperate attempt to staunch the bleeding and prevent the nation from slipping into a deep and prolonged recession. The package included a mix of tax cuts for individuals and businesses, direct payments to households, expanded unemployment benefits, and loans and grants for struggling industries. It was a delicate balancing act, an attempt to provide immediate relief while laying the groundwork for long-term recovery. Some hailed it as a necessary intervention, a lifeline for a nation on the brink. Others criticized it as a band-aid solution, a temporary fix that did little to address the underlying structural problems that had led to the crisis. The rollout of the stimulus package was not without its challenges. The sheer scale of the program, coupled with the urgency of the situation, led to delays and bureaucratic hurdles. There were concerns about fraud and abuse, as well as questions about whether the aid was reaching those who needed it most. The government faced the daunting task of not just distributing funds, but also restoring public trust in its ability to manage the crisis effectively. The stimulus package, despite its imperfections, provided a much-needed boost to the economy. It helped to prevent a complete collapse, offering a lifeline to businesses on the verge of shutting down and providing a safety net for millions who had lost their jobs. It was a bridge over troubled waters, buying time for the nation to address the deeper structural issues that had been exposed by the recession. As the recession deepened, the human toll became increasingly apparent. Millions found themselves unemployed, their livelihoods upended by the economic turmoil. Lines at food banks and homeless shelters grew longer with each passing day, a stark reminder of the human cost of the crisis. The social safety net, already strained before the recession, was now stretched to its breaking point. The government, in an effort to alleviate the suffering, expanded existing welfare programs and introduced new ones. Food stamp benefits were increased, unemployment insurance was extended, and eviction moratoriums were put in place to prevent families from losing their homes. Community organizations and non-profits stepped up their efforts, providing food, shelter, and other essential services to those in need. The outpouring of support was heartwarming, a testament to the inherent compassion that resides in the human spirit. Yet, despite these efforts, many still fell through the cracks. The system was overwhelmed, unable to keep pace with the growing demand. The faces in the welfare lines, once a distant image on the evening news, became a stark reminder of the human cost of the recession. The recession, in a way, exposed the vulnerabilities of the social safety net, highlighting the need for a more robust and responsive system. It underscored the importance of investing in social programs, not just during times of crisis, but as a fundamental pillar of a just and equitable society. The faces in the welfare lines served as a powerful reminder that economic downturns are not just about numbers and statistics. They are about real people, real families, and the very fabric of society. In times of uncertainty and fear, people look to their leaders for reassurance and guidance. The president, recognizing the anxiety gripping the nation, took to the airwaves in a series of addresses aimed at calming nerves, outlining the government's response and offering a message of hope. The president's speeches, delivered with a calm and steady demeanor, sought to project an image of competence and control. He acknowledged the hardship faced by millions, expressing empathy for their struggles while emphasizing the nation's resilience and its history of overcoming adversity. He spoke of the government's unwavering commitment to supporting those in need, highlighting the various measures being taken to stimulate the economy and provide a safety net for the vulnerable. The president's words, carefully chosen and eloquently delivered, aimed to inspire confidence and unity. He spoke of the need for shared sacrifice, urging citizens to come together, support their communities, and look out for one another. He emphasized the temporary nature of the downturn, reminding Americans that the nation had weathered economic storms before and emerged stronger. The president's addresses, while offering a message of hope, also served a strategic purpose. They were an attempt to manage public perception, to prevent panic and maintain a sense of order. They were a reminder that even in the midst of crisis, there was still a captain at the helm, steering the ship of state through turbulent waters. Section 5. The Critics Rise. Debates over solutions and long-term impacts. The government's response to the recession, while swift and substantial, was not without its critics. Economists, policymakers and pundits engaged in heated debates over the effectiveness of the stimulus package, the role of government intervention in the economy, and the long-term implications of the crisis. One camp argued that the government's intervention, while necessary to prevent a complete economic meltdown, had gone too far. They warned of the dangers of excessive government spending, arguing that it would lead to inflation, higher taxes, and a ballooning national debt. They advocated for a more hands-off approach, saying that the free market left to its own devices would eventually self-correct. The other side countered that the government had a moral obligation to assist those in need, and that the stimulus package, while imperfect, was essential to preventing widespread suffering and social unrest. They argued that the long-term costs of inaction, both in terms of human misery and economic stagnation, far outweighed the risks associated with government intervention. The recession sparked a fundamental debate about the role of government in society. It forced a re-examination of priorities, a reassessment of values, and a consideration of the kind of future the nation wanted to build. The debates, often heated and polarized, reflected the deep divisions within society, divisions that were exacerbated by the economic anxiety and uncertainty of the times. Section 1. Necessity, the mother of invention. The year 2024 had thrown a curveball. The recession, a harsh wind, swept across the country, uprooting old ways of life, forcing people to adapt, to innovate. The old saying, "Necessity is the mother of invention," rang truer than ever. Americans, known for their resilience and can-do spirit, rolled up their sleeves and got to work, finding creative solutions to unprecedented challenges. The job market, once predictable, had transformed into a churning sea of uncertainty. Traditional jobs disappeared, leaving many scrambling for a lifeline. But amidst the turmoil, a new wave of resourcefulness emerged. People tapped into hidden talents, dusted off old skills, and found ingenious ways to make ends meet. Take Sarah, for instance. She had lost her job as an event planner when the recession forced companies to cut back on non-essential gatherings. With a mortgage to pay and a family to support, Sarah refused to despair. She turned her passion for baking, once a hobby, into a home-based business. She started small, baking cakes and pastries for friends and neighbors. Word of mouth spread, and soon Sarah's Sweet Treats was born, offering a taste of comfort in uncertain times. Sarah's story was not unique. Across the country, people were reinventing themselves, finding opportunity in the face of adversity. The recession, while undoubtedly painful, had ignited a spark of creativity, a wave of innovation that would reshape the economic landscape. Section 2. The rise of the home office. The traditional workplace, once synonymous with office buildings and water cooler conversations, underwent a dramatic transformation. The recession, coupled with advancements in technology, accelerated the trend of remote work, turning homes into offices, bedrooms into boardrooms. Companies, forced to cut costs and adapt to a new reality, embraced the benefits of a remote workforce. Office spaces shrunk, travel budgets were slashed, and employees, once tethered to their desks, were now free to work from anywhere with an internet connection. This shift to remote work, while initially driven by necessity, had a profound impact on the way people lived and worked. Commute times disappeared, replaced by precious time with family. The line between work and home blurred, creating both challenges and opportunities. Parents juggled work deadlines with childcare, while others relished the flexibility to set their own schedules and work from exotic locations. The rise of the home office was not without its critics. Some lamented the loss of social interaction and the erosion of work-life balance. Others worried about the potential for isolation and burnout. Yet for many, the benefits outweighed the drawbacks. The home office, once a symbol of a niche lifestyle, was now a mainstream reality, reshaping the modern workplace. In times of crisis, humanity often turns to technology for solutions. The recession of 2024 was no exception. Technological advancements, already transforming various aspects of life, played a pivotal role in helping people adapt, connect, and thrive in a rapidly changing world. The gig economy, powered by online platforms, exploded in popularity, offering a lifeline for those seeking flexible work opportunities. Ride-sharing services, food delivery apps, and online marketplaces connected customers with service providers, creating a vibrant ecosystem of on-demand work. The education sector, too, embraced technology like never before. Virtual classrooms, once a novelty, became the norm, connecting teachers and students regardless of location. Online learning platforms offered access to a vast library of courses and resources, democratizing education and making lifelong learning more accessible. Technology also played a crucial role in keeping people connected during a time of social distancing and economic uncertainty. Video conferencing platforms became virtual town squares, hosting everything from business meetings to family gatherings. Social media, often criticized for its superficiality, became a lifeline for many, offering a sense of community, support, and shared experience. The recession, while undoubtedly a challenging time, also unearthed a spirit of entrepreneurship. With traditional jobs disappearing, many saw an opportunity to forge their own paths, to create something new, to be their own bosses. Co-working spaces, once the domain of freelancers and tech startups, became hubs of innovation, buzzing with the energy of collaboration and creativity. Entrepreneurs, united by a shared sense of purpose and a willingness to take risks, found support, mentorship, and inspiration within these collaborative environments. The barriers to entry for starting a business seemed to lower. Online platforms made it easier than ever to reach customers, manage finances, and access resources. The recession, in a way, had leveled the playing field, empowering individuals with the tools and the motivation to turn their ideas into reality. This new wave of entrepreneurship was not just about making a profit, it was about solving problems, filling needs, and building something meaningful. It was about taking control, embracing uncertainty, and creating a better future. The recession, for all its challenges, had ignited a spark, a renewed belief in the power of human ingenuity and the indomitable spirit of entrepreneurship. The recession of 2024, for all its hardships, had an unexpected side effect. It forced people to reevaluate their priorities, to shift their focus from material possessions to something more meaningful. The relentless pursuit of more money, more things, more status, gave way to a renewed appreciation for the simple things in life. Families, once caught up in the whirlwind of busy schedules and consumerism, found themselves spending more time together. With dining out and entertainment budgets slashed, home-cooked meals and family game nights became the new norm. Backyards transformed into playgrounds and parks became centers of social life, buzzing with the laughter of children and the murmur of conversations. The relentless pursuit of status and material wealth lost its luster as people witnessed the fragility of it all. Designer handbags and luxury cars seemed frivolous in the face of job losses and economic uncertainty. People began to find contentment in experiences rather than possessions, in connection rather than consumption. The recession, in a way, had hit the reset button on societal values. It forced people to confront the question, what truly matters? The answers, often found in the simplicity of everyday moments, were a powerful reminder that true happiness and fulfillment lie not in what you own, but in who you are and who you surround yourself with. The recession of 2024 reshaped the landscape of family life. Job losses and financial strain put immense pressure on families, testing their resilience and forcing them to adapt to new realities. Yet, amidst the challenges, there were also unexpected silver linings, opportunities for growth, and a rediscovery of the strength found in family bonds. Multi-generational households, once a fading tradition, made a comeback as adult children moved back in with parents, and grandparents stepped in to help with childcare. While these arrangements brought their own set of challenges, they also fostered a renewed sense of family unity and support. The traditional roles within families also shifted. With men disproportionately affected by job losses in certain sectors, more women found themselves as the primary breadwinners. This shift, while challenging for some, also empowered women and challenged traditional gender roles within families. The recession, for all its hardships, forced families to communicate more openly, to support each other more deeply, and to appreciate the strength and resilience found within their own units. It was a reminder that even in the darkest of times, family can be a beacon of hope, a source of unconditional love and unwavering support. The recession of 2024 left an indelible mark on the American psyche, challenging long-held beliefs about success, consumption, and the very definition of the American dream. The nation, once synonymous with consumerism and individualism, began to embrace a different set of values: community, collaboration, and a renewed focus on the common good. The idea of community, often overshadowed by the pursuit of individual achievement, took on a new significance. Neighbors helped neighbors, sharing resources, skills, and support. Community organizations, once struggling for funding and volunteers, experienced a surge in participation as people sought ways to make a difference. The recession, in a way, had exposed the limitations of a society solely focused on individual gain. It revealed the interconnectedness of people's lives, the reality that a nation's well-being is inextricably linked to the well-being of all its citizens. It sparked a conversation about social responsibility, about the need for a more equitable and just society. As the nation emerged from the recession, there was a sense that things could not go back to the way they were before. The experience had been too profound, the lessons learned too hard-won. There was a yearning for a different kind of future, one where community, compassion, and a shared sense of purpose would guide the nation's path. The recession of 2024 forced a redefinition of success. The old markers, a high-paying job, a big house, a luxury car, no longer held the same weight. The experience had revealed the emptiness of a life solely defined by material possessions and external validation. A new set of values emerged, one that placed a higher premium on purpose, connection and well-being. Entrepreneurship, once seen as a risky proposition, became a symbol of creativity, resilience, and a willingness to chart one's own course. People found fulfillment in building something from the ground up, in using their talents to solve problems and make a difference. The gig economy, while not without its challenges, offered a sense of autonomy and flexibility that resonated with many. The traditional 9-to-5 workday, once the norm, seemed increasingly outdated, in a world where people craved work-life balance and the freedom to pursue their passions. The recession, in its own way, had democratized success. It had broken down old hierarchies and created space for new voices, new ideas, and new ways of defining what it means to live a fulfilling life. It had ushered in a new era, one where success was no longer solely measured by material wealth, but by the depth of one's relationships, the impact one has on their community, and the sense of purpose that guides one's life. The year 2024 had been a trial by fire. A year that began with the promise of post-pandemic recovery had descended into an economic maelstrom, leaving its mark on the very soul of the nation. The scars of the recession were undeniable. Lost jobs, shuttered businesses, homes lost, dreams deferred. But amidst the wreckage, something else had taken root, something resilient, something profoundly human. The recession, in its own harsh way, had been a crucible, burning away the superfluous to reveal what truly mattered. It had forced a national introspection, a reassessment of values. The relentless pursuit of more money, more things, more status, had given way to a newfound appreciation for the simpler things: family, community, purpose. The crisis had revealed the interconnectedness of society, the understanding that a nation's well-being is inextricably linked to the well-being of all its citizens. The outpouring of support, the acts of kindness, both big and small, the spirit of collaboration that emerged from the ashes of economic hardship, these were testaments to the enduring human capacity for empathy, resilience, and hope. The road to recovery would be long, the challenges ahead still daunting. But as the nation licked its wounds, there was a sense that it would not be a return to the old normal, but a forging of a new path. A path shaped by the lessons learned, the resilience forged, and the values rediscovered during the long winter of 2024. The first rays of dawn break over the horizon, painting the sky with hues of hope. The year 2025 arrives, not as a clean slate, but as a continuation of a journey begun in the crucible of the previous year. The recession's grip, though loosening, is still felt, a reminder of the fragility of prosperity, the importance of vigilance. The stock market, while not yet back to its pre-recession heights, shows signs of life, a cautious optimism returning. Businesses, once shuttered, slowly begin to reopen, their windows no longer boarded up, but shining with the promise of new beginnings. The unemployment lines, though still present, are shorter, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, the determination to rebuild. The true measure of the nation's recovery, however, is not found in economic indicators, but in the hearts of its people. It's in the laughter of children playing in parks, no longer shadowed by worry. It's in the conversations around dinner tables, where hopes for the future are shared alongside stories of resilience. It's in the eyes of entrepreneurs, their faces alight with the spark of innovation, their hands building a future brighter than the past. The recession of 2024, for all its pain, had been a catalyst for change, a crucible from which a stronger, more compassionate and more resilient nation emerged. The journey ahead would still have its challenges, but the lessons learned, the bonds forged, and the spirit of innovation ignited would serve as guiding lights. The dawn after the darkness had arrived, and with it, a renewed sense of hope, a belief in the enduring human spirit, and the promise of a brighter tomorrow.